So my milkweed's about to bloom. I'm going to come out and film it in a few days. It's starting, you see, to get a little bit of color on it. It's 6:30 in the morning and it's so humid outside, July 31st, almost August, that I've been waiting forever for my camera to adjust to the temperatures so the fog goes off my lens. I'm trying to film my milkweed, and while sitting here, I spy a couple, I don't know if you can see the second one, caterpillars in my milkweed. Isn't that fascinating? I wonder if there's more. Do you see them down in there? I've backed my camera lens off a little bit to focus. I'm wondering whether I want to keep these because I've tried all these years to get it to grow, and I've finally gotten it to grow because everybody wants us to save the monarch butterflies, and I want to do my part. But I've read that they spread so quickly. And check this out. You see the bugs? I've heard they attract aphids, and these definitely have something on them. I don't know if they are aphids or if they are larvae that are going to turn into a butterfly. But there's a variety of things on this plant. It's hosting more than just the flowers. I'm trying to see if I can focus. Can you see the ants? It has a ton of ants going up and down. You see, and there looks like an aphid, one lone aphid underneath that leaf. See the ants? And this is a beautiful flower though, but they're not that showy. Oh, you know where this has a good smell. I've been wondering what smells when I walk by this area. I bent this over and it smells great. They're not very big flowers, but then again they are. So the scientific name for milkweed is Asclepias. And this is a common milkweed. So it's Asclepias syriaca. The trucks are arriving. I was trying to film before the trucks arrived to do the water line in the front yard. Those city workers sure do show up early in the morning. So we have, again, Asclepias syriaca is the common milkweed, and the swamp milkweed here in Missouri is another one that's very popular, and so it's Asclepias incarnatus. And I have, of course, my notes on my website page. So this one, the common milkweed, has large balls of pink or purplish color. And they are more, yeah, they are pinkish purpley, but they're not like bright. They're kind of on the white end of the spectrum. They're very interesting. You see on the ball, we have individual little flowers, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little petals and something in the middle. That's really scientific for you there. Aren't they interesting? And this one's getting ready to bloom that has the caterpillar on it. And the swamp milkweed is native to Missouri and has a small rose purple flowers. Well, it says that the common milkweed is large balls. My notes say this. And the swamp milkweed has small flowers. So I don't know if these are large or small. They're kind of medium-sized to me. I think the difference is in the leaves, and that's what the leaves look like on this one. And I think that because of that, it's a common milkweed. But now the other various species are very identifiable by color. The common milkweed and the swamp milkweed, which are common here in Missouri, both say they have rose or pink with purple flowers. But we have some other ones, and I'm not going to say the scientific names, but the antelope horn milkweed or the spider milkweed has a white flower. The California milkweed has white woolly leaves. Oh yeah, the leaves, I saw those in some pictures. They're very identifiable. They're white woolly. That describes them well. And they have pink and white flowers. These are just some common ones I saw online in America, but there are other varieties than these. There's a Mexican world milkweed, which is tinged in pink, and there's a purple milkweed that has a magenta purple flower, and there's a showy milkweed that's part rose and part white. A butterfly milkweed is orange, so they come in orange. There's a white milkweed with white flowers, and another world milkweed with greenish white flowers. And another one I made note of was a green milkweed. I have tried to grow milkweed for years because everybody says save the monarchs. They're dying. There's even fewer seen in Mexico this year. But every time I've bought one at the Missouri Conservation Center, they just disappear and I never see them again. Well, last year, I think I got these seeds for free at the Conservation Center. One day when I went in there and I just picked them up, and I planted them last year, and I could see they had a small growth and they didn't do a whole lot. See, I've got some more growing over there. Now that I know what they look like, they're very identifiable. So they just showed up again late in the year this year, much later than all the other plants. And I was like, oh, is that milkweed? That's about where I planted them. And sure enough, that's what we have. So monarchs have a life cycle that includes 4 stages: the egg, the larva, the pupa, and the adult. And it makes me wonder if any of the things on my plant here are any of those stages. The female monarch lays their eggs only on milkweed plants so that the larva will have food to eat when it hatches. They find milkweed by chemical and visual cues. I often wondered, like, in my yard, how are they going to find this in this fence if they're nowhere nearby anywhere? If they're thinning out, how are they going to find this one little plant in these walls? And apparently they can by visual cues and chemicals. Now the monarch larvae only eat milkweed plants of the genera, this genera, and one other. I'm afraid I would say them wrong. If there are no milkweed plants, then there are no monarchs, which is really sad. So I used to see monarchs in my yard all the time, and now I just see mostly swallowtails. So if I used to see monarchs in my yard, was it because they were finding swamp milkweed somewhere else, and then as they were migrating south coming through my yard? I don't know. All this time, oh, a bee. Look, he flew right into my frame. Thought he was gonna hit me. Isn't it fun when they cooperate? I'm sitting here and the ants are even starting to crawl on me. This plant is definitely an attraction to a lot of things. These look so gnarly. I'm not too scared of them, because they generally leave me alone if I leave them alone. But they do look so gnarly. Look at that sharp thing poking out. I forgot what I was talking about. I got distracted by the bee. Bee, will you just sit and pose for me for a while? I'd like to take some pictures of you. You're hanging out for a while, though. I don't think it's listening to me at all. So after all these years of trying to get milkweed to grow, finally getting it, and seeing everybody saying I need to grow milkweed on social media posts, I get one growing, and then I start seeing tons of posts that say they're not meant for the garden area, that you want to put them far away. Like, you know, I need to have some land with a farm field. Or maybe they need to be somewhere in the corner of my yard, or down by the street, away from the house, because they attract all these things. And I'm not sure I want these things to spread to my other plants. And yeah, you can't, like, there's like no way to get rid of these things on this plant unless you do it by hand, you know, with a little, you know, washcloth or something. I don't know. Because if you use chemicals, then you kill the monarchs and you defeat the total purpose of it all. It pops up in my social media feed that milkweed's invasive once you start it. Well, but it's a Missouri native. I'm really not liking all these conflicting things. I just don't know who to believe and who not to believe anymore. So the cool thing about the milkweed and why it's called milk, I get why it's called weed now. Everybody says they're invasive. But they have a milky sap, which is poisonous if ingested, so don't let your pets around it. My pet was just around it. And she eats things in the yard. Not a good thing. See, do I want to leave this here or not? Do I want to, like, move it somewhere? But if you eat it, it's poisonous, and it can also cause a dermatitis if it comes in contact with your skin and you're one of those sensitive folks. So the milky sap is seen when the leaves are crushed. I'm not sure I want to crush one of the leaves to see if I can see it without gloves. So when the leaves are crushed, you see the milky sap. However, even though it's poisonous, it is this sap that the monarch butterfly feeds on. Talk about bittersweet. Bitter for humans, sweet for monarchs. Can you see all the ants? So the sap that the monarch butterfly feeds on, the crazy thing is that the same poison accumulates in the body of the larva monarchs and is also retained by the monarch into the adult state of life, making it disagreeable to predators wanting to have a butterfly lunch. So if these little caterpillars in here are monarch, they have this milky sap poison inside them, and then when they turn into butterflies, they still have that poison inside them, and it keeps them from being a lunch to predators. That's kind of a crazy thing, isn't it? So also kind of crazy, and very confusing when you're studying these. Quite contrary to its toxicity, the name Asclepias was used by Carl Linnaeus in 1753 after a Greek god of medicine. So it's toxic, yet it's medicine? Okay, yeah, right. So it seems that some species have medicinal properties, but not all of them. Little caterpillars have moved where I can't see them. So the flowers arrive in mid to late summer, and they have an attractive odor, which I kind of agree with, and I don't know how to describe it. The plant is 3 to 5 feet tall. I've read that they get taller, and that's a little tall for me, but if they save the monarchs. The plant spreads by seed or through the root system, so once you got them, the roots start spreading. So the Native Americans used milkweed to create fiber for clothing. That is super cool. So I am on Substack, and there's a lady, I don't remember what her name is now, but I've been subscribed to her for a while. I love her posts, and she actually weaves, and she goes out into her yard, garden, whatever it is she has, and gets materials from nature and makes her yarn or whatever with it, and then she makes fabric with it, and it's so fascinating to watch. And one of the things that she uses is milkweed. So coma of the seeds was used to make life jackets during World War II. Well, that's interesting. And as we talked about, the aphids are a problem on the milkweed. But to kill the aphids, you might kill the butterflies. So you gotta just deal with them. So if you see munched leaves, turn them over. It might be a caterpillar. I'm gonna try filming a little bit with my camera so the quality's not as well, but I can get closer up than with my lens I'm using. So something has been munching on this leaf, and I can see the milky sap in it. Isn't that kind of cool? And here with my phone is some close-up of some things. Look at that milky sap coming out, and whatever that is in the middle. And you see some little bugs moving. Are these aphids, or are they in the making of monarch butterflies? So apparently, Google is great. Apparently these are aphids, the yellow ones. The eggs are white, and when they first hatch, that's what I called it, they're called instar, and the various stages of the instar. And so when they hatch, they do look like little worms. So these are all aphids, and apparently you can just use water and your fingers to knock them off. And these, I guess, are instars. I actually think I see 3 of them. Well, I'm excited that I might get monarch butterflies. This is white, so I wonder if that's an egg or if that's just a milky sap. Look, I think I found an egg and another instar. It's a caterpillar, which is the larva stage. And he's munching. Okay, I'm a little bit happy. My phone is actually doing a better job picking these up. Did you see that ant crawl through the hole? How cool is this? I wonder if I can find more. I found another little guy. Turn the leaves upside down, you'll find them. Hello, little guy.